Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show, Titans the Day After. I am your host, Ken Moore, in the house once again, and we'll have a couple of special guests coming in tonight. First and foremost, I want to say happy birthday to my favorite musician in heaven, Prince Rogers Nelson. This is his birthday today, so I definitely want to give a shout out to him, one of my favorite musicians. Now let's get into some Titans football. I know a lot of you just hopped over from Mr. Titan Show, had a very special guest on, Mr. Gerald McGrath. I got a chance to listen to a little bit of it while I was preparing for my show. So Mr. Titan and Gerald McGrath, shout out to you guys. Mr. Titan is going to jump in with us. So he's doing double duty tonight. And then we're also going to have the man himself, Mr. Titan Upload, in the house. And we'll get to those gentlemen in just a few moments. But first and foremost, as you all know, 24 hours, well, probably about 36 hours as this happened early on Sunday, it was announced that Julio Jones would now be traded to the Tennessee Titans. And this is something that we kind of told you would happen a couple of weeks ago, May 25th to be exact. If you follow me on Twitter, at KMoore Sports, you can get this type of information before it happens. Almost as confident as the Titans getting Julio Jones as I was in the Titans getting Jadeveon Clowney. There was no inside information on this one, just a gut feeling that I thought it would happen. We talked about it last week on the show when we had Two Tone Zone and Titans in Truth also in the house, and we did our mock trade scenario, and I gave you guys some information on why I thought Julio Jones and the Tennessee Titans were a perfect fit. And it turned out to be that it was a perfect fit. We'll show you what the draft compensation was in just a moment. Most of you guys already know that the Titans gave up a second-round pick as well as a fourth-round pick, and they'll get Julio Jones and a sixth-round pick. Now, I'm going to discuss this with my boys in just a moment, but the big takeaway that I had over the last couple of days and listening to sports radio, sports on television, the morning shows this morning. Why does the media hate the Tennessee Titans so much? We could not get any love from anyone except Stephen A. Smith was really one of the only people, and the guys on NFL Network, because they usually have our back. Nate Burleson, Pete Schrager, and those guys, they normally have our back. But there was a lot of hate on the Titans. Keyshawn Johnson just said Julio Jones wasn't going to help the Titans at all. Colin Cowherd went on the air today, and we know that he's all a Colts lover. Now, he's one of the guys that I do respect, but he has his fandom. He's a big Chris Ballard and a big Indianapolis Colts guy. So he said Julio Jones wasn't going to help the Titans. Now, this was after he spent the last week and a half talking about how Julio Jones would help the Seattle Seahawks or the New England Patriots. So, unfortunately, don't expect a lot of love from the media because they're not going to give us a lot of love. You're going to get all the love right here. Sometimes it's tough love, and sometimes it's real love. You're going to get that from Titan Upload, Mr. Titan, Titans in Truth, Two Tone Zone, and yours truly. When J-Rob screwed up on Isaiah Wilson and screwed up on Beasley, and when the Clowney situation didn't work out, we were the first ones to tell you, hey, he's got to take an L for those transactions. But he's hit a home run with Julio Jones. And now I'm going to bring my brothers into the conversation. Titan Upload in the house. What's up, my man?
Hey, Ken, what's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Man.
You were right. You were right.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times it's not really about being right. It's just being about giving the information and trying to dissect what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And we'll talk about, as we go through the show, some of the things that you really just can't believe from the media, because a lot of times these NFL teams and even NBA teams, they'll use reporters to get out a narrative that is not true to help their situation. So we'll talk about that as we get into the show. I want to bring in Mr. Double Duty himself, Mr. Double Duty himself, Mr. Titan. What's up? Great job on your interview with Gerald McGrath. How's it going, bro?
What's up, man? I came here to pop in and say what's up. Again, I got to go to bed in like 10 minutes, but I'm here to support you because I feel bad because you're always on my show, and I said I'm going to go, so I'm on it. I'll probably get in trouble later, but who cares? We got Julio. We got Julio.
That's right, man. Julio arrives. So, Mr. Titan, what was your initial thought yesterday when this happened, and what is the last 24 hours been? Has reality set in for you as of yet?
It still hasn't. Again, like I said, I was one of the very first ones, just like Titans and Truth, that didn't agree. I didn't think we were going to land them at all. I just felt like it wasn't going to be in our favor. And I think it finally hit me once I saw the clip of him getting off the plane and hugging J-Rob. I was like, we got Julio Jones. I think I annoyed everyone at work how many times I've said that we have Julio Jones. And they told me that, again, he's 32, he's washed up. Okay, we'll see. So again, it's a good feeling, man. It's a good time. Like Gerald said, it's a good time to be a Titans fan. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a lot of discussion on NFL Network this morning. That was one of the shows that really gave us a lot of love. And they said it's a good day to be a Titan fan. Titan Upload, what has the last 24 hours been like for you, my man? I know you did double duty yesterday, morning and evening. So everybody's doing the double duty.
It's exciting. I think we are very blessed to have this fall in our lap. Shout out to John Robinson and obviously Amy Adams for their, at least Amy for allowing this to take place. And then for John Robinson to just keep doing his job. I mean, sometimes I don't think he gets enough respect, and we can get on him for certain draft picks and stuff. But when you're talking about trades, has he made a bad trade yet as a GM of the Titans? I mean, I really can't think of one. Even the one where
he's a stud.
I'm thinking, how could you trade a second-round pick? And Dennis Kelly was like, Dennis Kelly really helped this Tennessee Titans team. So shout out again to them. But no, it's been insane, crazy, happy for the fans. We're the biggest fans, we're all our community. We're the biggest fans, and I'm happy for every one of us.
Hey, Ken, can I give a shout out to two people in the chat right now? I want to give a shout out to Sin City Titan. Yes, I did say that we weren't going to get him.
I love those sound effects, by the way.
I like the sound effects. And Al Pierce, thank you, sir, for joining the show, buddy.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in the chat right now. More people coming in as the show's going on. One thing that I wanted to discuss and that I kind of talked about in the open was the hate or just no love for the Titans. Can you imagine if Julio Jones, and we're going to get to everybody's comments in the comment section, please be patient, but I want to get Mr. Titan in before he has to go nighty-night.
Yeah.
No love from the media. And Mr. Titan, you've been all over this, talking about, even back in the day, the Titans didn't get a lot of love, except for the couple of years where we had Steve McNair and Eddie George doing really, really big things. Your reaction to the non-reaction of this signing of Julio Jones?
I'm used to it. I wasn't surprised. I mean, I think again, there's some certain people that are really surprised about it. Not anymore. I mean, once the AFC Championship, when we had that run where we played again, I said it before, when we played the Patriots, when we played the Ravens, again, I felt like the media was all about the Patriots. What did the Patriots do to lose the game? Not what the game plan the Titans had. Same thing when we played against the Ravens. It was, whoa, what did Lamar Jackson do against the Titans? Oh, Lamar Jackson, beat up on himself. He lost the game for himself. It wasn't, hey, Dean Pease just executed a great defensive plan to beat Lamar Jackson. It was never that. So once that happened, I mean, and that's on the big stage. That's playoff football. Like, come on. And you don't talk about the Titans at all? Like, even the beginning, the pre-game, the pre-week, when they were talking about, first take and stuff, they would always talk about the Ravens. I thought the Ravens were playing the Ravens because they never explain who the Ravens were playing against. It was always, oh, the Ravens this, the Ravens that, but there's no talk about Tannehill, no talk about, Derrick Henry. It was just the disrespect is real, and unfortunately, it's something that we're just going to have to suck up, and it's going to happen all the time.
Upload your thoughts on the media or lack of attention, lack of love for the Tennessee Titans.
Well, we knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
We knew it. Undisputed. I mean, they took the cake. I mean, they took sorry, I can't even talk because it's got me all fired. Okay. So the first thing was we knew the NBA games would be ahead of that. Now, I will argue, as Mr. Titan said, if it was New England, the Chiefs, the Ravens, I would argue that might kind of creep up on the NBA a little bit there. But they had one of you said like they had no other choice to talk about this because it's Monday and this happened Sunday with the news. But Undisputed took the cake. Not only did they do the 2 NBA games back to back, then they did the YouTube guy Boxer and they broke him down. Yep. Oh my goodness. I about lost it. And then the title of the next segment was all about Atlanta. And yes, they did in the conversation bring up the Titans. I do agree with that, but it was still under the title of did something. I can't remember what the topic was, but something about Atlanta. And it's frustrating. Brandon Marshall, shout out to him early in the morning. I recorded all the channels. I haven't got caught up on ESPN or anything like that in the afternoon yet, but Brandon Marshall was very positive about the Titans. So he definitely deserves a shout out.
Yeah, I know. I saw first Undisputed this morning. I saw both shows this morning. I recorded them as well. And they had the Titans right between the Mayweather fight and the Chad Ochocinco fight. They had the Titans sandwich right in between two non-sport events. Now, if the Patriots had signed Julio Jones or traded for Julio Jones, that would have led the show. Over the NBA, over Floyd Mayweather, over anybody. I do have to give a shout out to Stephen A. Smith, as I mentioned, because they had Keyshawn Johnson on, and he was talking about, he was awful. He was talking about, you can't have Julio Jones. If you got a running back like Derrick Henry, you're just going to have him out there blocking. I'm like, dude, you played in the NFL. What are you talking about? You have to have a balanced offense. The Titans have a balanced offense. Ryan Tannehill threw for 33 touchdowns and over 3,000 yards. They act like he's Lamar Jackson or something.
Yeah, they were saying that he wasn't going to fit the scheme, that Julio Jones wouldn't fit the Tennessee Titans scheme and what we do. But
he showed his cards, though. He said he would have been better off going the 49ers. He mentioned a couple other teams, and I'm like, there it is. There it is. That's what they were hoping for. And shout out to John Robinson. He said, nope, not going to happen. And then how about this? How many more reports have come out that, now nobody was interested in Julio Jones. Titans were only in it by them. Come on. That's crap. They know it is.
That's like when they say like, again, now people are coming out, teams that wanted him or anyone saying that, he's washed up anyway. He was declining. Yep. Yeah. Now you say that, but I bet you $1 million, yesterday you were dying for him, right?
Right. Yep. Right. And here's the other thing. Remember about 2 weeks ago when they came out with the Falcons already have a number 1 pick offer on the board all over ESPN. Diana Rossini. They have a number 1 pick offer already in hand. Why would you report that and it's not true? Or you don't know if it's true. You don't know if it's true because I can guarantee you this. Let's just say if San Francisco called Atlanta and offered them a number 1 pick. And Atlanta said, let us think about it for a couple of days. And then Atlanta went to Diana Rossini or Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport and said, somebody offered us a number 1 pick and that goes public. Do you think San Francisco is still going to do business with Atlanta if they leak that information? It's not. I've been in the media game long enough where some things just don't make sense. Mm-hmm. And if a team tells you that they have a certain package on the table, the team that offered that package, they're going to pull it off the table and they're not going to do the deal because that's doing dirty business.
Yeah.
Let's get some of these comments in here. Al in the house says you were right. We got him. Let's tighten up and go win a Super Bowl. Zach in the house. I have a feeling Christian Fulton is going to have a huge year too. Our pass rush will be better, no doubt. Watch out for Rashard Weaver. He could sneak up and get some spotlight. You guys' reaction to the comment there by Zach?
Go ahead, Mr. Titan.
Christian Fulton.
I hope so. He needs to step up, right? I mean, last year, he was. I don't think it was the greatest year. He was injured for most of the time, and when he played, he was all right. I think he needs to. And Rashad Weaver just needs to stay, go for practice, and then go home. Go to the game, and then go home. Don't do anything. Don't go to no club. Don't do none of that stuff, man. Just stay home, all right? Weaver, just stay home. That's it. But I gotta bounce, guys. I gotta
go to bed, bro.
Hey, see you, buddy. Good show tonight. Great show.
Hey, thank you. You guys wrap it up. I love you guys. Thank you so much, Ken.
By the way, before you go, everybody go buy some merch from my boy Mr. Titan. Go to his page and click on that button and get those Mr. Titan shirts.
There we go.
Sword's the best.
All right, guys. Have a good one. All right. God bless.
All right,
see you, buddy.
All right. In case you guys didn't know what the compensation was for Julio Jones, here it is. We get Julio. Let me get that out of here in just a second. There we go. All right. So the Titans get Julio Jones and a 6th-round pick in 2023. The Falcons get our 2nd-round pick next year and our 4th-round pick in 2023. So kind of a swap in 2023. Upload your thoughts on the compensation since no one gave up a number 1 pick. Your thoughts on the compensation that we gave up for Julio? Too much, too little, or just right?
I think it's just right. Again, I don't know what the other offers were on the table. I do believe they did get offers. Julio Jones is, let's just be honest, all pro. I know he was hurt last year, but there's not been the consistent trend of him being hurt over the years, and he's usually produced yardage and he plays in most of the games. So I bet you other teams did give something, but I'm just excited we are able to not have to give up a player. I know a lot of Titan fans were okay with it. I know when we were doing our role playing, I thought we gave up way too much. Sorry, two-tone zone. But, I didn't want to give up Evans. I know a lot of you have given up on Evans, but I think Evans is a guy who could be a dual threat this year. If it doesn't necessarily work out in linebacker, you could throw him in as a pass rusher, something that he did in Alabama. And we may need pass rushers as this 17 weeks or 17 game schedule kind of moves along, and you have Dupree and, Landry. Landry also has had some injury concerns coming out of Boston College. So I actually think it's just right. I'm actually shocked, though, Atlanta didn't pick up any of the money. I thought John Robinson's usually really good about that kind of stuff. I thought Atlanta might pick up $5 million of it or so. I know they're against the cap. They have the $7 million dead cap hit no matter what from it. But other than that, I thought John Robinson, he knocked it out of the park, man. And also he didn't give up the 4th in the same year. That's very important as well.
Right, absolutely. The way he spread out the compensation package was huge. I had some information earlier that I saw in an SI article today. The Titans' initial offer was a 3rd-round pick that could become a 2. We talked about that, when we thought, well, maybe a 2 that becomes a 1. The Titans' initial offer was a 3 that could become a 2. The Falcons said no to that. Then we offered just a plain 2nd-round pick. The Falcons said no to that as well. And then Tennessee threw in the sweetener of throwing in the 4th-round pick to swap it with the 6th-round pick. So as you mentioned, a great job by John Robinson, spending as little as he could to get Julio Jones. Let's try to get caught up in the comments section. Ryan, spam that like button. Yes, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. So if you guys would do me that solid, I would appreciate it. Sin City Titan. If Ken Moore says it, I'm taking it to the bank. Hey, I'm not always right. As long as I can be right about 90. If I get 9 out of 10, I'll be all right with that. By O'Hara, All I heard today was our defense was still bad. That's all I heard today. Well, the Titans got a great offense, but their defense is still bad. Did they not notice that we signed Bud Dupree? Did they not notice that we signed Autry? Did they not notice the draft capital we spent with your boy Farley and the other guys that we picked up on defense? It's like people aren't paying attention. And then they said, oh, they didn't need Julio Jones. They already got a great offense. No, we don't. We don't have Corey Davis. We don't have Jonnu Smith. We don't have Adam Humphries. We don't have Khalif Raymond. We've lost 4 of our weapons from the year before. It's like the media thinks teams come back exactly as they are. No, they don't. We went and got Julio for a reason.
Yeah. Did you hear Nick Wright? So Nick Wright went through, I mean, he obviously, if you don't know him, he's from Kansas City, I believe. He's a huge Chiefs fan. You got to put that into account.
Yep.
He's not going to tell you this, but out of all the teams, he fears the Titans the most because he's seen what the Titans have done to his Chiefs over the years. I think we've beat them 4 out of 5 times. So again, for Derrick Henry runs all over him usually. The only one time he didn't was unfortunately the playoff loss in the AFC Championship game. But he lists like the top 5 AFC teams, okay? And then he goes and he says, okay, who's got the worst defense? He says the Titans. Who has the worst quarterback of the 5? He says the Titans. Or the guy that's with Brandon Marshall, can't think of his name, said, well, I don't know, or I think it was Brandon Marshall. So he gave us 4th out of 5th for that one. Then he goes head coach, Vrabel. He gives him a 5, okay? So my point is this. What about Derrick Henry? Does he not matter? Because out of all those teams, who has the best rushing attack? By far, Derrick Henry. Who has the best offensive line? By far, the Tennessee Titans. So, again, I hate when the media picks and chooses certain things to talk about, but the thing that frustrates me the most is when you're uneducated and you're talking and this is your job. They only want to talk about the main teams. Every other team, they don't put much into it, but then when they're put up against it and they're forced to, like this situation, then they just throw darts and they just kind of blah, 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 blah. It doesn't make sense. The Titans defense is going to be better this year. It was 25th, Ken, last year overall, 27th or 28th against the Pats. Like, it was awful. The Titans will improve from last year. I can guarantee you that. How much? Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You got a few shout outs in the house. Ryan giving you some love. Zach Carpenter. What's up, Upload?
Up, Zach?
CJ Waller's in the house as well. We live in here. Hey, man, my home is your home. Bring it on. Sin City says, how is our defense still bad? That's just ignorance. I mean, you got to see them play, right? You just got to see them play and see what happens. Big Al in the house. Al, always a pleasure to have you in. I heard someone report that his cap hit this year is still going to be less than it would have been to pick up Corey Davis's option. Any truth to that? Well, what I do know is that J-Rob is working to possibly restructure Julio Jones rather than restructuring, Taylor Lewan or Ryan Tannehill. There may just be a restructure of Julio Jones. I think Paul Kaharski had an article, I believe yesterday, where he said a restructure could get his cap hit from $15 million down to $5.8 million this year. So that would be interesting to see how the numbers work out. Let's see, Titan Rob in the house. So we only gave up a 2nd round pick for Julio because of the compensatory picks we pick up to replace the fourth the Titans gave up, which makes it sweeter. Now, I did ask a buddy of mine who used to be an agent about the compensatory picks, and you would expect a compensatory pick to come for Corey Davis. But remember, we signed Bud Dupree from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we also signed Autry. So the players we lost could offset the players that we gained. So we may not get any compensatory picks this year. Upload your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a really good point because I still saw somewhere where we might get one. I don't think it was a 3rd rounder, though. I think it might have been a little bit later.
Right.
But yeah, that's a great point because the Bud Dupree, I mean, they're paying him an awful lot of money, so that definitely would cancel out Corey Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. Diego in the house, media saying the Colts are better. Colin Cowherd said the Colts are going to win the division today. How can you say that when they have Carson Wentz at quarterback? That's just insane to me. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand you're a fan of the team, and we're all fans of our team, but sometimes you just got to admit when your team is not as good as another team. I mean, that's just crazy.
Now, Denver, I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did if you were watching the shows this morning. Denver, according to Vegas, is above the Titans to win the Super Bowl because of obviously Aaron Rodgers. But still, like, it comes down to Ryan Tannehill. He gets no respect. None whatsoever. None.
I mean, they act like Ryan Tannehill is the same way. They even showed video. I don't know if it was on First Take or if it was on one of the other shows. They were talking, I think it was Keyshawn Johnson again, talking about Miami, Ryan Tannehill, and talking about how Julio Jones wanted to go to a team that had a big arm quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Well, why would he go to Tennessee? Look what Ryan Tannehill did in Miami. Dude, that's 3 years ago. What are you talking about? I mean,
and he was also
crazy,
the one
man.
that made the fuss about Arthur Smith. But what he doesn't realize, again, okay, I'm going to use the word uneducated with some of these media guys. If you actually spend 5 minutes, Ken, on the Titans, you would realize that they hired within a guy that Downey, like, I'm not totally sold on the guy, but he's been in the system for a few years now. It's not like they're bringing some random dude in there. He kind of knows how the system works. So, again, nobody knew who Arthur Smith really was for the most part before he took over. And when LaFleur left, let's be honest, when he left the Titans, I don't think a lot of people gave him much of a chance to survive in Green Bay. And he's had back-to-back 13-3 seasons. So
26-6 as a head coach. Yep. It helps when you have the MVP at quarterback, though. Tobina, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Are you guys more worried about the D coordinator or the offensive coordinator? I'm more worried about the offensive coordinator because at least Shane Bowen has had a year of experience in the position. So I would say with that, this is going to be the first time. I believe for Todd, this is his second time around. Was he coordinator in Oakland? I've heard that, but I haven't verified that to be true.
Who's that, Downing or Bowen?
Yeah, Downing.
Yeah, this will be his second year. He had 1 year in Oakland and he bombed out.
Okay.
But it was because the quarterback got hurt. I think Carr got hurt or something. So
okay. So I'm more worried about the offensive coordinator. The defense is the defense, man. Either you can play or you can play. It's up to Vrabel and those guys to get them in the right position, but it's so many moving parts with the offense, and you got to incorporate Julio. You don't have Jonnu, or you're going to go to more of a 11 personnel where you have one running back, Henry, and one tight end, Fursker, for most of the time, and you're playing 3 wide receivers with Reynolds, Jones, and Brown. Is that going to be your primary offensive formation? Or are you still going to try to go with a 12 personnel with one running back and 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers? So it would be interesting to see how they do that. Steve, I doubt J-Rob would have put in the offer if he didn't have a plan in place to cover Julio's salary. Yeah, they definitely have a plan in place. And then we'll find out what that looks like once everything is going. Donnie D, according to Spotlight, we're supposed to get a 4th-round compensatory pick. That's possible.
Jonnu Smith.
That's very possible.
Jonnu Smith.
Yep. Yeah, Jonnu Smith. Absolutely. Two-Tone Zone in the house. Welcome, guys. They said the Lombardi Trophy is ours. Hey, man, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. What do you think our chances are, man? Where do you put us in the pecking order in the AFC? You got the Bills. You got the Browns, who really destroyed us last year at home. You got the Ravens, of course. We won in the regular season, lost in the postseason to them. And then, of course, Kansas City. Where do you put us in the pecking order in the AFC?
Well, first of all, I'm getting sick and tired of nobody ever mentions that we destroyed the Bills last year. I know it was last year, but when the media brings us up, they're like, we can't compete with the Bills, right? They got Josh Allen. Okay, whatever. But right now I got us in, I mean, I'm not saying we're 4th, but I got us in the top 4. And whatever you want to do with us in that order, that's fine. I think obviously Kansas City is in a class of itself with Mahomes. I think Derrick Henry is the ultimate kryptonite against Mahomes. And if he can stay on the field and run it down Kansas City's throat, he's already proven a few times he can beat them. Okay. But then Cleveland, which I actually really like, Ken. I think Cleveland, we'll see how Clowney works out this year, but I think Cleveland has a really good defense, and their offense, we'll see what happens. They got a nice little 1-2 punch at the running back position. Offensive line's pretty good because they got our guy Conklin, which we still should have right now. But then you bring in the Bills. So I think we're kind of all in there, and, New England and Miami, they're going to be better this year, and Chargers will probably improve. The Colts, if Wentz is good, then the Colts are probably, now we're in 5, we're in that top 5 with the Colts would be right alongside of us. So let's just be honest. The AFC is going to be a challenge. Whoever comes out of that's going to be battle tested and ready to go. And you got to like our chances, though. I mean, this is it. The chips are in the middle of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's always a team that's going to take a step back, right? There's a good team that's going to take a step back. For me, I think it's the Colts. I really think the Colts. Now, I don't think they're going to take a step back to like 8-9 or 7-10 or something like that. But I think they fall off that 11-5 and maybe they go 9-8. Maybe they go 10-7. I think we can go 12-5 or 13-4 with Julio. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. Next subject that I want to hit is Julio and Josh Reynolds, the forgotten guy so far. Josh Reynolds, now you don't have him as a number 2, but could he be the best number 3 receiver in the league? So now you got A.J. Brown, you got Julio Jones, and you have Josh Reynolds. I feel a lot better with Josh Reynolds as a 3 or 4 than I did as a 2. Your thoughts?
Who do you think is better? We know how the season ended, but going into last season, Humphreys would have been the number 3 wide receiver, correct?
Yeah, he would have been the slot, correct.
So do you feel more comfortable with Humphreys, not knowing how the season played out last year with the injuries, or right, with Reynolds? Because I think I don't know a whole lot about Reynolds, but I do know Reynolds held down that 3 spot quite well in LA. So, that is interesting. We know how it ended. We know since that Cincinnati game, which was earlier in the year, I want to say it was like week 9. From week 9 on, we've lived the life with no Humphreys, right? So that's what we're used to. But going into that season last year, I still think Humphreys was a better overall football player than Reynolds, but I still like Reynolds, and I definitely like him better at 3 than number 2. I thought number 2 would have been I wanted to see how 2 was going to work out, but I feel way more comfortable now that he's going to be 3 because that's where he's comfortable at.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think don't be surprised if we see AJ and Reynolds on the outside and we see Julio in the slot more times than not, because they can use his great one-on-one ability. If Downing is thinking about it, try to get him isolated on one-on-one coverage, and you're sending Brown and Reynolds down the field, and you letting Julio Jones just eat up safeties inside the box. That could be something that really, really works out for us, I think. Lawrence
is Reynolds 6'3"?
He is. He's a tall kid.
So how tall is Julio? 6'5"?
Well, no, I think Julio's 6'4" or 6'3". Reynolds, okay, I think maybe 6'2" or 6'3", around that same height. So we got some big receivers.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Lawrence in the house, he says, "What's up, K Moore and Upload? Everybody that talks negative now will be fired as long as the defense is top 15. Yeah, if our defense is top 15, then we're going to be a difficult team to play with. Manny Z in the house. Let's go, Julio. And Two-Tone Zone says straight up disrespect, referring to the media about their thoughts about us. Let's see what Steve has to say. Josh Reynolds would have been okay number 2, but he is a heck of a number 3. Yeah, I think he's going to be tremendous. As long as he comes in as I mentioned before, I hope he's not in his feelings about this situation. And then you also look at Fitzpatrick that we drafted. You got Cam Batson coming back as well. So there's going to be a lot of competition for those wide receiver spots. And we may see some guy not on the active roster. Does Fitzpatrick make the active roster? Or does he end up on the practice squad this year, on the inactive list? What do you think about him for the first month of the season, Fitzpatrick?
I think, and it pains me to say this, but I think obviously Julio, AJ are safe. Reynolds is safe. Those three. I also think Cam Batson's safe. They like Vrabel loves him. I don't know what it is about. I like Batson too. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about him that Vrabel loves. So I would say he's pretty much a lock. Does Fitzpatrick because you traded two picks basically to get him. I think he's going to be a lock at some point. I mean, you could start him out off at 5 roughly, and just kind of spot him in. But I, and what's interesting, my light just went out. So that's, I don't know if that's trying to tell me something or what, but, the real battle is going to come down to, 6, because I do think the Titans keep 6, and, my guy, Mason Kinsey, is going to be there, and Westbrook, also, I mean, those two guys, they like Westbrook an awful lot too. Even when the local media kept telling us last year he couldn't catch anything, Vrabel and them put him in a key situation, and even in the fake punt thing that they did.
Yeah, I forgot about Westbrook. He was the one that caught that fake the fake punt pass from the backup quarterback, right? I believe.
Yep. So, and he was a great special teamer. So that 6 guy's going to have to play special team. So, he was on, I want to say he was on punt coverage because he was usually one of the first guys down the field too. But, Westbrook, he's got a little bit of height to him as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do at wide receiver. I don't think there's any possible way they're going to keep 7, but maybe they only keep 5. Heck, we don't know. But I think they're going to keep 6 for sure.
Yeah, and it may depend on how many tight ends they keep. Steve in the house says he thinks Firsker will replace Humphreys. Humphreys is our man over the middle. This is something that really hasn't been talked about a lot. Great point, Steve. Firsker is going to have a lot of room to operate with Reynolds and Jones and Brown on the outside. He's going to get one-on-one coverage, and if he can improve upon, he's already a great possession receiver. If he can improve upon that, man, he can eat a lot this season over the middle. Great point, Steve. Lawrence, do you think we need a tight end or just roll with house money? If Ertz is available,
yes,
and you
we
can
need
go
one.
Go get him, baby. Hey, like John Robinson said, it's his job to get as many good football players as he can. And if he can go get Ertz, then, hey, go get Ertz. Let's see. Titan Rob, not looking good for Mason Kinsley. Sorry, upload. Would you care to respond, sir? I guess not.
I'm just telling you. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. I've told these people don't believe me, but they should. He's had a great camp of OTAs. Like, I don't know if it's the fact that because he was around last year, he kind of already knows the system, where a lot of these other guys are just trying to pick it up. But from what I've been told and what I've gathered, not from the local media, by the way, because they only give you those little highlights, like, he's doing some things. So means at the end of the day, I don't know. I thought this would challenge the system, but like, we've talked about on my show before, Julio Jones, they're actually excited. If I was a younger guy trying to make this team, bringing Julio, you think, oh my goodness, there goes my chance, or I have a tougher shot at this. But no, like, they're really, really pumped about the possibility of working with a legend and learning so much from. I think that is the most underrated part with Julio Jones, is what he's going to not only bring to the young guys. AJ Brown going on his 3rd year, Ken. He's going to learn some things as well to make him even that much better. So I love the move. Nobody talked about that today, but I think it's worth at least bringing up today.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I think that wide receiver room is going to be so much better. As you mentioned, it's almost like having a veteran backup quarterback behind a young guy. You get to teach him the fundamentals and the work ethic and everything that it takes to succeed in the NFL. And one thing I heard today about Julio, he's not a diva. He's not a Terrell Owens or Chad Ochocinco, but he is a very proud football player. He takes his craft very seriously, and he is going to want to help those young guys get better. I kind of think that final roster spot, it may come down to Kinsey and Fitzpatrick. I mean, we've seen, if Fitzpatrick isn't on his game and Kinsey's been in the system, it could send Fitzpatrick to the practice squad, and Kinsey may get that roster spot. We don't know. Back to the tight ends. Donnie D says he thinks Eifert or Burton would be cheap regardless. Sin City, do we think the roster is set?
Eifert's a tall guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big guy.
Oh, sorry.
We got a lot of big guys. No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead on Eifert. Go ahead.
I just think he gets hurt a lot, but that's why he'll be cheap. But again, you don't need him for all 17 games. You know what I mean? You pick and choose how you want to use them. You got to mold this thing but when you get playoff time, these guys are healthy and they can go. I mean, that's the big thing with Julio Jones. Like, people are getting on, he's not going to be able to play 17. I don't care if he plays 17 games. If we get to the playoffs and we're up against the Ravens in the same scenario, they shutting down Derrick Henry, you need a guy like Julio Jones now to combat that. You know what I mean? And so, again, Eifert can give you a little bit of a dual threat. He's been improved as a blocker. And like him and Ferkser, I like Swaim as well. I mean, you need some depth there at tight end for sure going in, especially for how much you want to run the football and how much Lawan does honestly get hurt. You know what I mean? It's true. So it'd be a nice little insurance policy.
Yep. Let's see here. Down to see what the cap situation looks like. Again, I wouldn't worry too much about the cap. It will be interesting to see how they restructure his contract, if indeed that is what happens, because you want to see how much money he's going to cost next year, going into that second year, because right now I think he only has $2 or $3 million guaranteed for next year. So we'll see how that happens. Final topic of the night. Was it a good move to let a younger Corey Davis go for an older Julio Jones? Here's a look at their numbers since 2019. Games played, Corey 29, Julio 24. Receptions, Julio 150 to 108. And remember, this is in 5 less games. Yardage, 2165 to 1585. Touchdowns, 9 to 7. So that's what we're looking at there with the comparison between Corey Davis and Julio Jones. Now, and Keyshawn, this is the only thing that he brought up today that made me think a little bit. You got a younger Corey Davis. They're both making probably around the same amount of money right now if you had picked up Corey's 5th-year option. And he is a very talented blocker downfield. But is in a short term, Julio Jones will give you more. But when you think about the big picture, would it have been better to keep Corey, because Corey right now is entering his prime, and you figure he's only going to get better and better. Now, he's not going to get better and better with the Jets because they have a rookie quarterback and they're starting over. So I don't expect his numbers to be outstanding coming up this season. But I think if he would have stayed in the Titans system and continued to grow, his numbers would have continued to improve. Upload your thoughts on Corey and what you think about these numbers.
You know me, I love Corey Davis. Was by far my favorite Titan. I respect the heck out of him, not only as a player, but also off the field. And he had to battle adversity last year to the hardest degree. I mean, losing your brother, a guy you look up to, an older brother, especially Titus, that was so important in his life. And then going out and saying, you know what, I'm going to play on Thursday night against the Colts. And honestly, Corey did as much as he could in that situation. I think that really showed you just kind of the character that he was. But the last image, unfortunately, everyone has of Corey Davis is seeing him sitting on the sidelines, holding his helmet. I don't even know if he had his helmet, but he had his helmet off. And then he didn't play. And when the team needed him the most, I'm sure he was hurt. Corey's not a guy that just take a, hey, he's done. But in that playoff game, maybe he was a lot more hurt than anyone even knew. But once AJ Brown, they took him out of that game. We were up 10-0. Corey Davis had no answer. Ryan Tannehill had no answer to it. So that's the only concerning part for me. Yeah, he's younger. But Julio Jones, you're looking for that Super Bowl. And do the Titans even realize they have a chance at Julio? I guess I'm going to ask you, Ken, when they made this decision on Corey Davis.
I think good general managers, they look ahead, right? They have a board up of who's free agents, who's not a free agent, who's looking to get traded, who's not looking to get traded. I think it may have been maybe a 5% chance at the time that they did not pick up his option. Maybe Arthur Smith going to Atlanta helped with the communication because he could say, hey, we're not bringing Julio back in March, after he gets the job in February. He can tell the Titans right then and there, hey, we're not bringing Julio back. He may be on the market if you guys are interested. So that could get the wheels turning inside of J-Rob and Vrabel saying, you know what? We got a good shot at getting Julio. Let's roll the dice. Let's not draft. Let's let Corey Davis go. Let's not draft a receiver early in the draft, Elijah Moore, who I wanted them to draft. So I think that they had an inkling that they had a shot. I just don't know if they knew they had this good of a shot.
Yeah, the cards definitely fell into place. That's definitely just like Clowney last year. It's kind of really identical. I'm not saying the players are identical by any means, but just how it all worked out. Obviously, this got done way, way, way faster than Clowney did last
year. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Before we get out, has your thoughts changed? Is any with the addition of Julio Jones as far as the Titans win total? What do you foresee? What was your prediction before, and has it changed at all? Mine was
before the schedule came out, it was 10-7.
Yep.
I'll go for it.
Yeah, mine was, I think I had them at 12-5 at the time. I'm thinking this will add an extra game. I had them losing the opener to the Cardinals because I figured J.J. Watt, he's going to be as healthy as he can be for that game. We always have a problem with DeAndre Hopkins. We don't know who's going to be starting at cornerback. Is it going to be Jack Rabbit? Will Farley be there? Or will it be Fulton on the outside or the inside? I think there's going to be a lot to work out that first game against the Cardinals. I still think the defense may struggle in that first game, but now I think there's enough on the offense to match the Cardinals point for point and somehow win it at the end, depending on who our field goal kicker is, of course. We haven't gotten to that. We haven't talked about special teams at all. I guess we'll save that for another show. We'll save that for another show. But I think the Titans win that first game against the Cardinals now. I think Julio Jones will make an immediate impact. And so I'm going to bump my win total up from 12-5 to 13-4.
What do you think happens quicker, the offense or the defense? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think the offense is going to gel more quickly? Or do you think the defense will come together more deep? I'm not trying to say our offense and defense. I'm just talking about an average NFL offense that has new pieces with an average NFL defense that has new pieces. Which one do you think comes together quicker?
Defenses are usually ahead of the offense. Shout out to Big O. Finally caught it live. Tighten up, gentlemen. Yes, sir. Welcome to the show, Big O. Yes, sir. Hit that subscribe button for me, Big O, so you'll know when the shows are on. You can get that notification. I need everybody in that chat to go hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for me. But yeah, I think defenses typically catch up better than offenses. There's just so many moving parts with the offense, so much timing that you have to have between the lineman and the quarterback, the lineman and the running back, who's going to block who on what particular play, blitz package situations that you have to pick up from different teams, and of course the timing between the quarterback and the wide receiver. Defense, yeah, you have some schemes, but mostly it's just pinning your ear back and going, knowing your assignment. The secondary guys, hey, are we playing cover 2? Are we playing cover 1? Are we playing man-to-man? So you don't have somebody get beat over the top. And that's what concerns me about that first game against Arizona. I hope we have a really good preseason because you got a lot of weapons coming in with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm going to say 12-5. I was 11-6 after the schedule came out, and or as far as where the teams were placed before, like I said, 10-7, but 12-5. I just think people are underestimating the 17th game. Like, I think it's a big deal. I think coaches are going to have to really. Now, luckily for us, our bye week happens week 13. So, I mean, we'll be on gas, like low gas when we get to week 13, but at least we'll be rejuvenated. Unfortunately, the Colts are week 14. So, but I still think we split with the Colts. I know it sounds kind of crazy. You still got to play the Chiefs. I mean, it's a tough schedule.
I think we sweep the Colts this year. I think we finally beat them at Nissan Stadium. I think we finally get that win at Nissan Stadium, man. I think it's going to happen. Al said he was 12-5. Now he's 14.
You know, the only problem.
What's that?
The only problem, that game's week 3. And I don't know what it is about early games at home against the Colts. If you go back traditionally, we do not play well against the Colts early. And I don't know why that is, but it's a new team, right? It's a new team. Didn't have Julio last year.
Yep. Titan Rossi in the house. I know he was on your show yesterday. What up, Rossi? Drum Stars made an appearance before Julio. The over-under was 9. Now it's 10. When I looked this morning, it was 9.5. I was hoping I would be in Vegas soon enough to make a bet because we're definitely winning more than 9 games. If it's 10 now, that means some money has come in on the Titans. The Titans, this is the disrespect, right? I looked at the over-unders this morning. The Colts were at 10. The Titans were 9.5. Guess who else was 9.5? You want to take a wild guess? A team that did not make the playoffs.
Jacksonville?
No, not Jacksonville. The Patriots, who don't even know who their quarterback is.
Denver?
They have them.
Oh.
No, the Patriots. New England. So a team that doesn't even have, they don't know who their quarterback is going to be. They have them with the same amount of wins as the Tennessee Titans. The disrespect.
Michael, speaking of Titans, Rossi shared a thing with me earlier with Super Bowl predictions, and we're like 15th or 16th down the list. 15th or 16th. How is that possible? I mean, when you play football games, Ken, it doesn't matter what size your sports fandom is. Doesn't matter what market you're in, right? Look at James. Shout out to the girls of James Madison University. I know they lost today again to Oklahoma, but here's a team who went unranked. Nobody heard of them. I mean, half people probably don't even know where the college is located at. And they end up making it one game shy of the College World Series final. So that's my point. It doesn't matter how many fans you got. Doesn't matter what market you got. You're just going to line up and the better team's going to win.
Yeah. I mean, It doesn't matter that you play in Nashville, man. It doesn't play if you play in Jacksonville, Indy, Denver. If your team is good, your team is good. I mean, heck, Green Bay's in the middle of nowhere, right? Now they have a 50, 70-year tradition of winning, so that's great and all. But yeah, just the level of disrespect is crazy. Zach says he thinks we're going 14-3. Drumstar says we're going 6-0 in the division. Those Texans games always worry me. We don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to be around for that. Titan Rossi winning 12-game in a 17-game season is darn good season. Yeah. Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir, it is.
Hey, I'm going to have to bounce, but I do appreciate you having me on.
Yes,
great
sir.
show. And yeah, if you're in here, definitely tighten up the like button, as I always say, and subscribe to this guy, Ken Moore, man. He brings you the news before ESPN does, even though he does technically work at ESPN. So shout out to you, Ken.
They like Diana Rossini more than they like Ken Moore. But that's all right. As long as I get it right, that's all I'm worried about. She's wrong 75% of the time.
Tighten up, Ken. Take care, buddy.
Tighten up, man. I appreciate you, bro. Talk to you later. All right, guys. Well, we will keep this going as long as you guys want to keep it going. We have a lot to discuss. Again, Julio Jones signing. Titan Nation very, very happy. Titan Rob in the house, maybe a Delaney Walker reunion. Man, that would be nice if Delaney can still play. I don't know what type of circumstances he left the organization with Vrabel. I don't know if those two got along or not. But if he is healthy and he can come back to this ball club, I think it would be very, very good for this Titan team. A couple of more before we get out of here. Zach says the Broncos have better odds to go to the Super Bowl than the Tennessee Titans. Think about that for a moment. Think about that for a moment. Steve says he's out. He's going off the bed. Hey, I want to thank you guys for coming in tonight. As always, it's fun. I appreciate every one of you guys coming in. This has been a great couple of weeks for the Titans, a great weekend where we did get some publicity, not the publicity that we wanted. But we have Julio Jones on the team. And, man, it's going to be a very fun football season coming up. So until next time, I appreciate you guys. On the way out the door, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. We're trying to get it all the way up, hopefully to about 1,000 by the time football season starts. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, you can find me there at Ken Moore Sports. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Kmore Sports. So again, shout out to everyone in the chat. You guys are wonderful. And we will see you probably in a couple of weeks. We'll see what else breaking news comes about, and we'll let you guys know. So until then, tighten up.